Hello, my people. Glad you could join me again. So, for this video, I kind of wanted to introduce one of my favorite aspects of Star Trek, being the Borg. I plan to do a kind of an in-depth Borg video, like who are they, what do they do, etc., soon down the line, but that requires a lot more research because I want it to be thorough. So in the meantime, I want to do something, to kind of put it out there. I think would be very interesting, and that is some encounters between, like, what if the Borg met against the Parademons from DC Comics. So with that out of the way, let's begin. Starting off, kind of giving a summary about the Parademons and what they're capable of. So, to start with some kind of big if true generalizations of the Parademons, within the Apocalypse, the Dark Side, etc. It is stated that they're the most feared and relentless forces in the universe, as well as, like, the few in it which can stand up against them. Within DC Comics, like, only kind of the big hitters have a chance to really, like, put up a fight. The Parademons have clowned Blue Beetle hard before taking him out, like, multiple times. Keep in mind, Blue Beetle has casually, like, tanked, like, charge slams from, like, Lobo, clashes from, like, Enraged Guy Gardner, and I don't know, like, Parademons seem to have, like, a hate boner for Blue Beetle and Kyle coming up. So this Chad Parademon basically just, like, KOs, like, a member of the Secret Six with, like, a blitz charge, while another one just, like, simply slams one against the wall with one hand, basically without even, like, looking for a sec. That was a pretty Chad move. In another case, a bit more of an impressive feat is another clowning of a JL member, being Aquaman. Basically, one kind of suppressed him in water. Oh, damn. This is the same Aquaman, of course, who could, let's say, recover from a full strike from, like, a kind of pissed off Martian Manhunter-infused Superman. Kind of, like, shrug it off and, like, immediately fight back. So, Aquaman ain't no slouch, even though he kind of gets, like, a weaker rep in there. Kind of the Parademons with their hate boner against Kyle. In several cases, this is, like, just shown to be one. They kind of, like, blitzed him into submission before one of the most powerful Green Lanterns, obviously being Kyle, was stripped of his ring and kind of just, like, rendered helpless. Obviously, it just shows how much of a jobber he is also. When the Parademon just catches him off guard, slams a big-ass door on his face. Rip Kyle. To be fair, Kyle was kind of, like, weak in, like, these situations. He wasn't at his full potential at all, but still impressive. One random-ass Parademon generated enough force, like, solely off his punch, to off-socking Superman. Like, he actually felt a little something after. So that is fairly impressive from just, a random-ass Parademon. Parademons can survive, like, barrages from Cyborg's weaponry, and although it, like, highly did damage them entirely, they were still able to, like, stay intact enough to escape, like, with, like, boom tubes. And keep in mind, like, Cyborg's AP, like, cap can do, like, cheese, kind of, like, to, like, hinder one-shot Shazam. Obviously, scales like Superman on average, so yeah, that is impressive. That is obviously one of Cyborg's highest end feats with weaponry, but still, it's impressive. So we have their weaponry, of course, which can basically hinder also Martian Manhunter, which basically blew him on his ass, and Soups, which basically was the same exact case. So they can blow off the JL. You can say maybe they caught him off guard a bit, but still, that is quite impressive, since everyone also just, handles one just like a regular gun, and they can just blow off Soups and Martian Manhunter casually. And in my opinion, one of their most impressive feats is okay. So people sleep on Solomon Grundy. I understand since he's a fat jobber a lot of the time. He loses like easily against, I don't know, like soul combatants. But then you have Solomon Grundy, who's not a jobber and literally fucking solos the pre-crisis Justice League, as shown here. And then with that, it's shown that the Parademons, not even like a whole large group, just killed him. Like, what the fuck? So, yeah, that is fairly impressive. And it is key to note that just like, I don't know, with like their blitzing and weaponry, they don't play around. And they have some insane feats with the jail and, Grundy, etc. So, yeah, that is just some of them. There's obviously more, but just wanted to give a kind of a rough summary of what they're capable of. So now on to the Borg. Okay, to begin with some of the Borg's feats, they have the ability to rewrite like endless numbers of alien species like past effective timelines for easier Borg assimilation during their initial creations, which is pretty impressive. Their casual like particle cascades are fueled off omega molecules. Omega molecules are no joke. We can relate that to the Q conflict comic line, where Q stated that collecting an omega molecule was to be like the most challenging and dangerous task thus far. This like included prior like fighting creatures who could like eat galaxies, or capturing a Borg queen in a cube. After it's shown, Janeway states that just one omega molecule holds the power to destroy many years of subspace, light years, and break warp speed, which is vastly superior to the speed of light, like exponentially the higher up you go. And this is just the casual power source for the Borg. So that is pretty wacko. So then after that, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So they're basically able to just open wormholes with other species which embody like pure chaos. I don't fully understand how that's possible. Through the technology, they can like biologically manipulate the entirety of another dimensional species, which they stated earlier are like far superior to their own known capabilities. They were like one-shotting multiple cubes at once, like curb stomping aliens like bugs, taking barrages of fire, etc., just to form a weak alliance with the humans, in order to betray them later on. So that is pretty douchey, but that is typical Borg fashion. So afterwards, it's shown that Borg cubes, each one can contain the commands of time and space themselves, easy time travel, going through different dimensions, etc. Nothing really new here. In the Doctor Who crossover, the Doctor basically states that Cybermen, who are like androids very similar to the Borg, who are already like well capable of mass dimensional travel in their own right, came to the Borg in the Star Trek verse specifically for their technological enhancements. Like he states total annihilation on the galactic level. This is obviously just like a saying. He obviously means far greater than that. But like obviously when the time travel shows, which we'll get to, it's shown to be far worse, which we'll get into now. So once like the Doctor shows Picard what would happen if the Cybermen got Borg tech, it basically just showed the Cybermen conquering entire universes, and whose words countless universes with relative ease. And he later said that this would include the Whoverse once they kind of returned. We should obviously note that this could be kind of clutch with the Parademons. We'll see that the Borg tech is able to simulate beings from entirely different dimensions and verses. So maybe that would come to play with the Parademons, even though the Parademons are more powerful than the Cybermen, I would say, on average. Borg weaponry seemed to have like high durability negation, being that endless Cybermen were killed by the Borg during the Cybermen's betrayal. The only way you were supposed to be able to get past the Cybermen's shields and make them vulnerable to attack is through like kind of spraying gold on them. It weakens them, but the Borg don't seem to care. They can bypass this and just kill them on the spot. Um, so it is later stated, like when the Borg make an alliance with the humans, that the Borg can be reasonable and restrained. They can be like strategic. They aren't just full monsters, and they can bypass the normal function of a simulation. They aren't kind of like restricted to just kind of capturing others. If it's so dire, they can just fully eliminate them. So they can really, if it gets to catastrophic levels, they'll just full on go kill mode. And then during the X-Men crossover, certain things are shown that they can like override and pilot Sentinels out of nowhere, who are obviously incredibly OP, like mutant slaying machines. It's stated here and shown, as well as like many times throughout Star Trek, that the Borg can basically adapt to any weaponry that they are initially harmed by before. Data states, and this is a statement, but out of anyone you could get a statement from, if it's Data, you know it's legit since he knows everything basically. That would include Storm's blast. We know the AP of Storm can be wild. That they can even adapt to her capabilities, and yeah, so it can adapt to mutants as well. And we don't know the limitations of this, but that's pretty impressive. So now we'll go through some scenarios and see how it would play out between the two of them. Okay, so because I do believe this is a very in-depth kind of situational battle between the two, I will be using 3 scenarios, which I think will be interesting on balancing both sides. So the first that will be covered will be if a Parademon swarm like boom tubed into the neutral zone. Maybe Darkseid was like, "Be gone with you, just conquer what you can in this verse." So that'll be the first. Scenario 2 would be just like a clash on like a neutral duel, sought after world. So kind of more like fair, like hand to hand or like intimate brawl of sorts. And then scenario 3, we'll say like a Borg dimensional assault on Apocalypse, seeking a simulation. Maybe like they sensed the Omega effect, which they were so unfamiliar with, and like, damn, this is awesome. Let's try to invade. So yeah, let's get this rolling with scenario 1. Okay, so what would happen if a boom tube full of parademons just like swarmed out into the neutral zone where Borg cube fiasco is happening? So I believe that overall it would be complicated, but I would say Borg would win, possibly mid-diff. So what I think would happen mainly is it both would get caught off guard, obviously, but the Borg have so much versatility in their neutral zone. This is where they are able to open dimensions, control time and space. They're gonna be studying the anatomy of the parademons every single second they're obviously there, and find out any weaknesses they hold to use against them, as they do with like Federations like Romulans, etc., since they have their full arsenal on hand. I believe the Parademons could do some damage to the Borg cubes, but the Borg cubes are like so technologically superior to, let's say, the Romulan vessels or the Federation ships. We can see that when, let's say for example, the Romulan vessels would just go full on barrages at a single cube. It literally just wiped it off and regenerated. And that is just one. Sometimes they're like thousands together. And the single Borg laser just on several occasions has like one or two shot a shield off a Federation ship who, if you saw my Enterprise versus Dutchman video, the Enterprise ship can like, brush off a supernova to the face with its shield. So the Borg don't play with their tech, and I believe on their ground, kind of with their area and versatility, they do have the advantage against kind of a more naked, confused set of parademons who don't have the weapon AP to take out a whole set of cubes. So if it was in the neutral zone in space, I believe the Borg would eventually wipe. So I would give scenario 1 to the Borg, possibly low to mid diff. So moving on to scenario 2. Okay, so imagine like a clash in like a neutral world with like a key resource or like, power source, which they both see as like helping their purpose and like, I don't know, capturing galaxy after galaxy or universe, etc. So this one is a lot closer in my opinion. It's got to strip a lot of the arsenal that the Borg have and they're comfortable with. They're got to be boots on the ground with their, just kind of weaponry. Now, they are going to inflict casualties on the parademons. Remember that their weapons are fueled with omega molecules, which can wipe out years of subspace, and they can catch out warp speed levels of travel, which is massively faster than light. But the parademons will still be able to blitz a fair amount, even though they'll suffer casualties. And their physical strength and durability is far higher than the Borg. In kind of the base sense. Like, remember the Borg? They're still, like, kind of, like, half human. Like, they will get ripped apart by the parademons when they come close. They can just tear them like paper. The parademons give the Justice League a good fight. They punch Superman, and he feels it. They can kind of suppress Aquaman, etc. Green Lanterns. So, if it was, like, let's say 100,000 on each side that the clash, they are going to lose, and the tricky thing is, do we allow more and more waves of each to invade? Because if so, you have to remember that the Borg adapt to apparently any weaponry or harm in which they were apparently previously afflicted by. It's been stated by data, even by mutants, like Storm's lightning or Wolverine's claws. But in this case, it'll be just an initial clash, and more parademons will come. So it would take far too long, I feel, to the Borg to fully adapt. And I would have to give this one to the parademons, since they would just be able to initially tear them like paper. So I would give this overall medium to high diff for the parademons and win scenario 2. Okay, scenario 3. So, the Borg finds some juicy possible tech on residing in the DC universe, and they open a dimensional rift to travel to the verse and try to take it off Apocalypse, seeing it's the Omega effect off Apocalypse itself. So how would this go? So basically, remember when, to begin, even without this, like, it was stated that the parademons, in that sense, were like the most destructive possible force in the universe. And then, so the Borg come in, maybe they try to shoot up Apocalypse a bit, and then, who gets pissed off? Yeah, Darkseid is. So basically just, yeah, so the parademons win. I would say, I want to say no diff. Let's just say no. Let's not even say low. No diff after Darkseid. And yeah, so that is it. Scenario 3, parademons, no diff. So parademons win 2 out of 3, in my opinion. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed. I think this was a very interesting video to make, since it could go both ways in certain aspects, and they're both very cool. So yeah, I think I want to do a Borg video for sure down the line, but I want it to be thorough, so it might take a little bit. In the meantime, I'll be maybe thinking of a video to do in the middle. So for now, I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, peace, y'all.